Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm going to be doing a Tierra Numeron deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this was actually suggested by one of my patrons, Gloomba, and this deck is an absolutely crazy deck, summoning one of the hardest cards in the entire game to actually summon in the form of Tierra, the Source of Destruction. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, just like Gloomba did, for all those awesome awards like getting your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments down below, and we're going to get straight on into this one. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Tierra, Source of Destruction. Now this card is an absolutely crazy hard boss monster to summon, but when it does go off, this card is absolutely awesome. What this card does is it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special from your hand by shuffling 10 other cards with different names from your hand and or field into the deck or the extra deck. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card, special summon, cannot be negated, and this card is special summoned. You shuffle all cards into the deck except this card from either player's hand, field, graveyard, and face-up pendulum monsters from the extra deck. And neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So this card is an absolutely crazy boss monster that basically just resets the entire game, except you get to keep a 3,400 attack point monster looking at your opponent. So it becomes that your opponent is just basically top decking against you, which is really not good for them, but really good for us. We then play 3 copies of Numeron Wall. Numeron Wall is an awesome card in this deck that basically gets to your copy of Numeron Network extremely quickly, which helps out the deck a lot because you really do need to get to your copy of Numeron Network, because Numeron Network essentially gets 5 of the cards out of the way that you need to have to summon out this card to your side of the field. We then play a surprise tech that I'm playing in this deck, which I'm going to get you guys to comment down below and guess what that card is, which is a really awesome tech for you guys for this deck. So we're going to reveal it in 3, 2, 1, and definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to reveal it right now. And comment down below. Make sure that you comment and guess what this card is. If you get it right, I'll give you a heart. So here's what it is. It's actually a single copy of Cyber Ouroboros. So this is a weird tech card for any deck. And what this card does is when it's removed from play, you get to send a card from your hand to the graveyard, and then you get to draw an additional card. Very unique effect, but also combos very well with Allure of Darkness. And you're trying to get unique cards in this deck, so just a one-of copy of Cyber Ouroboros either turns into one of the 10 that you need in your hand, or it turns into a +1 where you're sending 1 card from your hand to the graveyard off of Allure, where you're getting 3 instead of 2 off your copy of Allure, and you're sending something to the graveyard that might be a broken bamboo sword that might help you, or cursed bamboo sword that you might get a search off of. So this card comes in very, very handy for a lot of reasons in this deck. We then play a single copy of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This card is a very good normal summon, the only real normal summon we play in the entire deck. You basically normal summon this card and then search from the deck a copy of Spellbook of Secrets or a copy of Spellbook of Knowledge to be able to extend your plays even further with this card. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming because you're trying to get to Numeron Network as quickly as possible. This card is very pivotal to be able to play in this deck as a 1-of because it's going to help you get to your 3-of Numeron Network. And Numeron Network is one of, if not the most pivotal card in the entire deck, because even if your copy of your Tierra goes off and you get your play rolling, your opponent could top deck something like a Regeki and out the card, or a Dark Hole, or a monster that can just remove it. So your copy of Numeron Network, when it gets shuffled back in the deck, basically refreshes your entire Numeron Network play, so you can OTK your opponent through you losing the copy of Tierra, and it also serves a dual purpose where you can actually send from your deck to the graveyard your copies of your Numeron Calling and copy the effect, which is really helpful. So we played 2 copies of Numeron Calling, which has the ability that it basically lets you special summon from your extra deck 1 of each of the gates between 1 through 4 to your side of the field, which helps out a lot, giving you 5 of the cards that you already need summon out your copy of your Tierra. The really cool thing about Numeron Network as well is you don't have to detach materials to activate the effects of your gates of the Numeron, which is really helpful. We then play a single copy of Upstart Goblin because it helps you thin through the deck a little bit, which is really helpful. 1 copy of One Day of Peace, another card that helps you thin through the deck a little bit, and sometimes you will need that extra turn to go into some really awesome plays, and this card helps out a lot, giving you an extra draw. Play a single copy of Into the Void because if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, you're going to draw an additional card. This card basically just makes the deck a little bit smaller and helps you thin through the deck to get the exact card you need. One copy of Perform Mal Popper Up. This card helps out a lot because you can send the exact card that you don't need from your hand to the graveyard to get you another card. It can let you draw up to 3 cards by drawing or by sending 3 cards to your graveyard, which is really good, but you do lose 1,000 life points for each card that you draw off this card if you didn't special summon off its effect. So you can lose upwards of 3,000 life points, but the payoff is so much better than what you're going to lose. Play a single copy of Card Destruction just in case we need to fix our hand. This card helps out a lot to get certain cards that we don't need out of our hand so we can get more unique cards. One copy of Spellbook of Secret. Spellbook of Secret helps out the deck a lot because it's going to thin the deck a little bit by grabbing your one of Spellbook of Knowledge, which Spellbook of Knowledge is a good one of in here because it's going to let you send a spellcaster from your hand to the graveyard, or excuse me, it lets you send a Spellbook card from your hand or face and field to the graveyard, except another copy of Spellbook of Knowledge, and then you get to draw 2 cards. So this card is really helpful if you combo with your copy of your Magician, so it really helps out the deck a lot. Play a single copy of Foolish Burial Goods for our Broken Bamboo Sword engine, or the Bamboo Sword engine, so this card comes in very, very handy in this deck. 2 copies of Contract with Dawn Thousand. This card is really good because you take 1,000 life points. Both players take 1,000 life points, and then both players draw a card, and then you reveal your hand or every single card that you're going to draw after this. So this card really helps out the deck a lot to get you more cards, and plus it's a continuous spell, so leaving it on the field is just really good because it just basically is an upstart goblin or a 1 day of peace essentially, but you lose 1,000 life points. But it's also going to leave you another card on your field, so you're going to be able to draw cards. The only reason I only play 2 copies of this is because you can only activate 1 of it per turn. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. The 3 copies of Allure of Darkness are just going to help you thin through the deck a little bit. The Numeron walls are dark type, so you have 3 targets there, and the 1 copy of Cyber Ouroboros. But you're drawing so much in this deck that you have to play a little strategically with this card, but you only have 4 targets in the deck, so you're going to have to play a little strategically with your copies of your Allure of Darkness. We then play 3 copies of Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings lets you draw a card and discard a card, but lets each player draw a card and then discard a card. So this card's very helpful in helping you fix your hands and discard unnecessary duplicates that you don't need for the summon of your Tierra. We then play 3 copies of Memories of Hope. Memories of Hope helps out so much in this deck because the Memories of Hope is going to basically let you draw 4 cards off your copy of your Numeron Network, because once you activate the effect of Numeron Network, sending it to the graveyard, your copy of Numeron Calling, summoning out your 4 monsters, since you do control 4 XZ monsters on your side of the field, you're going to get to draw 4 cards off this effect. So this card is a lifesaver for this deck. We then play the same copy of the Broken Bamboo Sword, which just ties in with our copies of our Cursed Bamboo Swords, which we play 3 copies of. And the Cursed Bamboo Sword, the big effect of this card is if it's sent to the graveyard, you're going to get to add from your deck to your hand another Bamboo Sword card, except another copy of itself, which is always going to be your 3 of Golden Bamboo Sword, aka your Pot of Greed. So this card is really helpful for this deck. So basically what this card does for the deck is when you activate your copy of your Broken Bamboo Sword, or if you activate a copy of Broken Bamboo Sword or Cursed Bamboo Sword, you can then follow it up after you equip one of these 2 cards to your side of the field, to a monster or your opponent's side of the field. You're going to be able to use your copy of your Golden Bamboo Sword to let you draw 2 additional cards from your deck, which is really awesome, especially when you draw multiple copies of it and it turns into a draw 6, as well as your copy of your Memories Hope, which turns into a draw 10, which is really crazy that a deck can even do that. So that's it for the main deck. That's basically it. You don't play any traps for this. I thought about throwing in Reckless Greed, but I felt like it was a little bit too slow, but I'm basically just playing a bunch of draw cards and Numeron Network to get to this card. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of number C1 Numeron Chaos Gate. This card is really good for the deck. It just is an awesome boss monster. You can overlay it on top of the number 1, which is really cool because it has the ability you can also XZ summon this card on top of number 1 you control as a monster, and it has the ability that if this card is XZ summoned, you banish all monsters on the field, and then once per turn during the next standby phase after this card was banished, you can special summon this card, the banished card, and then if Numeron Network is on your field spell zone, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined attack of all banished XZ monsters, which can be quite a lot that you're actually inflicting to your opponent. We then play 2 copies of Gate number 1, 2 copies of Gate number 2, 2 copies of Gate number 3, and 2 copies of Gate number 4. So these actually all share the exact same effect. These 4, between 1 through 4, share the exact same effect. They cannot be destroyed by battle, and at the end of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can detach a material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters you currently control until the end phase of the turn. It's all this card does. They all do the same thing, but they give you 4 additional cards plus the field spell, so 5 cards on your side of the field to actually shuffle back into the extra deck and shuffle back into the deck to actually get out your copy of your Tierra. So these are very pivotal, and if you don't draw into your copy of Tierra, which will sometimes happen, you will be able to OTK your opponent with your Numeron monsters, which is really cool, or overlay into a really, or not overlay, but link summon into some really awesome cards, like your copies of your Megaclops. Megaclops is a crazy cool card that you can actually XZ summon into. So this card helps out a lot to get into some really awesome plays. So you play 1 copy of it, because you can actually use 3 of the gates to summon this 4,000 beat stick to be able to kind of hold out until you get the copy of the Tierra that you're going to need. We then play a single copy of Borreload. Borreload helps out a lot just to be able to link summon into this card using the gates, which is really cool, because basically the gates turn into a link 4 once you summon them to your side of the field, but after you use the copy of Numeron Calling, you can only summon 1 more time, which is really important to keep in mind. So basically all of these link 4s that I'm showing you guys are suggestion cards that you can go into if you don't actually draw into the copy of Tierra. So we then play a single copy of Borreload, which helps you OTK. We play a single copy of Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax, because this card is basically a towers. This card is very hard to out. 1 copy of Soryuja Skulldread. Soryuja is really an insanely good card in this deck, because in the off chance that you feel like you can draw into the Tierra and you're going to go into it the following turn, you can actually use Soryuja to be able to draw 4 and then put 3 back, so you can kind of fix your hand a little bit as needed with this card. So it's a really powerful card, but keep in mind, after you summon this card, if you use the gates, you can't summon again. So this, whatever the monster you link into is the final monster you can summon. You can't summon Tierra after it, because that's kind of a weird thing with Numeron Network. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa, just in case you want the negates. Since all of these are different names, you can actually make Appaloosa with them, which is kind of helpful to actually make basically a 4 negation card against your opponent, so you can kind of wait it out to be able to go into your copy of your Tierra. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it, Gloomba. It's a really awesome deck. I'm glad that you suggested this one, because it is really, really awesome. It's really fun to play, because basically you're playing Numerons and you're going to summon, like, just about every hand I do end up summoning out the copy of Tierra, but it's a deck that basically is focused around summoning this specific card. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely give Gloomba some love down in the comments for suggesting this one, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.